11 Baptist, Faith Baptist, that's the sign.
That's the sign application. Do we want to talk about that?
Mm-hmm.
So, let me pull that one up. They're asking for a sign on their school, which is a wall-mounted sign that faces the road, which will be internally illuminated. It meets all the provisions of
I hate to be a guy.
sizing requirements.
Take someone's generosity.
It does, however, face across the street an agricultural property that happens to be zoned R1. And there's a provision in the ordinance that says that, refresh my memory, Jamie, so that there's no back internally illuminated signs facing residentially zoned or used properties. However, there's been multiple sign permits issued for these same exact type of signs throughout the town that face either a residence or a property that's zoned residential, is used for residential. So I know Attorney Macy asked the question specifically related to that.
So where do we want to go on it?
I don't know how you approve it if it doesn't meet the law. And
Because
it's a chapter 17, it's not a chapter 18.
Right.
So they need a variance, they're not gonna get a variance. So, you know, you gotta change the code. What did we make town do when we ran across this? You know, what did we make?
So we've approved sticks, sign, we approved Haas Landscaping, we approved the church on Sunset, we approved Storage Master, we approved, I think we came up with 6 within the last 2 years that we've approved.
And you pointed this provision out each time?
No.
Or is this the first time you pointed it out?
First time that you pointed it out to us.
Well, was it in your report?
I don't believe so, no.
I'm pulling up my report now, sorry.
So this goes to the board tonight.
It's on Mare House.
So on Thursday, this comes through on Thursday. This is the one, the sign that's on Thursday?
Yes.
Okay. So it comes through on Thursday, the board says it's contrary to our code. You could either not illuminate it and bring it back.
Or they could externally illuminate it and it's completely fine, it meets our ordinances.
Or they could come back and if they are, bound and determined that this is their sign that they want, they don't want to change anything, they can petition to have the ordinance changed.
Right, but then that's a 2 to 4 month process because it's in our zoning and that's what the county.
For 8, I thought you said it was in 18,
No,
chapter
it's in 17.
13.
It's in chapter 13.
All right.
But that's what gets me is that if the cabinet itself is illuminated internally and it faces a residential zone property or residential use property, even if the foot candles, are a half foot at the property line, our ordinance doesn't allow it. But they can have the same exact sign and they can have external lights facing the sign and it meets all of our requirements.
Or they could have a single or double faced sign that I guess
Goes the
would
opposite way.
be
Right.
perpendicular to 90 degrees or whether or not if it wasn't pointing that way, that would be compliant.
Yes.
What if it's on an angle? How do you determine what's facing?
Well, that's a good question.
But this is not.
It's not, but I mean, the building and parking lot itself, I mean, this is probably 50, 60 feet from the right of way, I think.
Sure, yeah, at least. And the property across the street happens to be zoned R1, but it is an agricultural property.
Right, so I mean, it faces the gravel access to the property. The farmhouse is further to the north.
It keeps getting more and more silly.
If you put it in your report and it's illegal, I pointed out. If you didn't put it in your prior report,
Well, this is,
I wouldn't have known
to be fair, the language for this staff report, I copied from a previous signed report that was done by Jamie.
So it wasn't,
Right.
and nobody cared.
It was.
Well, but you can't just put it in a staff report and ignore the facts.
No,
It says per section 3215I of
Yeah.
the town of Waukesha code, the signs which are internally shall not face adjacent lands which are zoned for, used as a single family or duplex. I guess I'm gonna ask you to say it meets it or doesn't meet every one of these from now on, like you do all your other stuff. Because if you put it in your report, I guess I had to assume it met the law, or you would have pointed it out.
Well, when
For
I-
some reason, I went and looked at this one, or because the site plan was given.
So when I did the staff report, this one, I also looked at this, obviously. And when I looked at the aerial photograph, I didn't first look at the zoning across the street. I said, oh, that's an ag property. No issue here. After you raised the point, I went back and looked at the zoning and said, oh yeah, sure enough, it's R1. So I assumed it was not zoned R1, but apparently there's a lot of ag properties that are zoned R1.
I guess I'm just saying, be careful saying we reviewed it, we approved it 5 times previously, because someone's gonna say you should have pointed out it was illegal
Right.
5 times
Sure,
previously and
sure.
we wouldn't have approved them.
So, this again is like another one, you know, you bring it forward, these guys are paying to bring it in and.
You know, there's only so much we can do within the hour, 2 hours that we try to, you know, incorporate in this. If the direction that the town wants to start going forward, that we need to be looking at every I's, every T's in that, we can do that. But then applicants are gonna be charged, you know, 6 to 8 hours for us doing our staff reports. And, you know, they're not gonna be getting through the town with, you know, $500 to $1,000.
In fairness, if I'm the applicant and I'm sitting home saying, why didn't you know this? Why did you need $6 or $8 or $1,000 to come up with an answer? That's the response you're gonna get from an applicant. I think that's fair.
And that's fine, and we're just gonna say, because we have a plethora of ordinances that we have to go through, and some of them make sense and some of them don't make sense, but, you know, we're here
Some of
to.
them contradict each other.
It does,
Exactly.
and, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's, you still have to cross your I's and dot your I's and cross your T's. You still have to go back through and reference and make sure, oh yeah, town of Waukesha, yes, this is what it says.
And we try to do our best in a 30-minute planner appointment, which we're, you know, kind of restricted to give them all the information that they need. And, you know, sometimes we catch everything and sometimes we don't.
Yeah, we certainly can't memorize.
It's nature of the beast.
their ordinance.
Right.
Right. So we'll bring it up and the board will make their decision.
Yeah, we'll
Information
point it
given.
out, and maybe just suggest that other illumination methods might satisfy the ordinance.
All right, then we have